Welcome to today's digital safeguard session, where keeping cyber secure isn't just for the tech wizards anymore. I'm your host, Felipe, with my colleague, Luis, and you're listening to Cyber Safe Easy Steps with the NIST framework. In a world where cyber threats evolve faster than you can say, update your password, it's crucial to have a game plan that's both simple and effective. And guess what? That's exactly what we're diving into today. Sorry. Whether you're running a small business, leading a giant corporation, or just keen on keeping your personal data under lock and key, there's a secret weapon for you. It's called the NIST framework. It's not just as complicated as it sounds. Stick with us and as we break down how this guide can bring your roadmap to cyber safety, making sense of those tech terms and showing you practical, doable steps to protect your digital world. Welcome back, guys. It's been a while since we've done another podcast. Um, what have you been up to, Lewis?
Yeah, I've been all over the place, but definitely back here with the podcast is great. There's been a lot of
Being a
change.
cyber hero.
Being a cyber hero, putting out fires, helping customers, uh, the usual. But definitely, there's been a lot of developments. CMC public preview closed recently, which is why we're bringing this podcast to you guys today, especially for those who are in the CMC space or defense department contractor. This is where we're going to touch further on this framework in a simplified way, but definitely something you can take with you to help understand what to do next.
Absolutely. I mean, just this week alone, I know it's Friday, but this week alone, we've done quite a few assessments that we've performed and found, and actually it doesn't surprise us, but we found a lot of vulnerable environments. Um, Even we received one call this week where the owner thought his girlfriend was spying on him, and you know what? Without the proper tools, how would you ever know that? you know so just one of the important assessments we did is basically for a customer that has federal contracts, and his emails were being hosted on a private exchange server in somebody's office, in another IT company's office. So as we were doing the assessment, we basically came to find out, that server wasn't patched. That IP that he was hosting of, I think, about 40 customers had been reported in terms of reputation as a bad IP that had potential cyber crime been reported. Um, so, also we detected Tor browsers in the environments, BitTorrent servers. So, when we sit down in front of these owners and explain to them, hey, your environment has all this vulnerability, most of the time they're shocked. Whether they do anything about it or not, that's totally up to them. But the fact that we found Tor browsers and BitTorrents uh, uh, doesn't surprise us. And in bigger environments, it's something that they're less likely to be aware of if they don't have the right tools. So it's a good idea to always follow, a good framework, in this case, the NIST framework, which helps guide good cyber hygiene. Uh, Lewis, what are some top few technology updates that organizations can make to
Yeah,
harden the security posture, especially in the, like you mentioned, the CMMC space, compliance, and are mandated by the DoD?
yeah. Usually, what I see is what not to do. So I'll start off with what you shouldn't be doing. If you're a DoD contractor or anyone in the CMC space, is avoid having a flat network. For flat network, just for those who don't know what that is basically a network where everything can communicate to each other without any filtering. So a physical analogy to that is imagine having an open concept uh, building where your whole team works and there's no separation, there's no doors. Basically, people can have conference room tables in the middle of the warehouse talking about their financials, and every employee can hear in, visitors, etc. There's no separation. Once you're in the building, you can hear and listen to all information within the building. There's no rooms, no doors. So essentially, that's the same thing with the flat network. You have the sound system that you have in the lobby in the same network where the camera system's at, in the same network where the phone system's at, in the same network where the computers are at, in the same network where the servers are at.
Or even that smart lamp.
That smart lamp. So what happens is this flat network puts you in scope for everything. So a lot of times we give these guidance on recommendation, but sometimes the way to look at this is what not to do. A first great step I would recommend anyone who is dealing with these frameworks and security mandates is, what am I doing wrong here? Usually you can quickly identify that. Do I have everything under one umbrella of one network? If so, then I'm probably not going to fall into the NIST framework. And a great way to do that is work with a service provider such as Function or Local to install a managed switch, which is a smart switch that essentially installs those walls, those doors in that physical analogy. So there's departments that are being segmented. So you have access control for what needs to go in and out. Does the Sonos system need to talk to that server with confidential information? Probably not. Maybe it just needs in and out to the internet and possibly like an iPad, etc.
And that kind of aligns to, in the screen I put up the NIST framework, and it just kind of follows the 5 controls there. And, it aligns with identify, basically. You identify the network, seeing what's there, what's not, and, how do you know what's vulnerable if you don't know that it exists, basically? So that's the idea behind it. What else? What else, Luis? What do you think companies should not be doing or doing?
Yeah, I think you shouldn't be sharing passwords. So a lot of times we see people having generic passwords like and users. So manufacturing is a great example. We'll have people use the same generic user. Let's say uh, press operator. So then now there's several people who know the same passwords in and out for that
Very
account.
common in warehouses.
Very common in manufacturing. People try to do that to sometimes simplify onboarding. They have a lot of turnover. They're like, I don't want to keep creating a ticket for a new user. Although that's more convenient for you for that short period of time, that does mean it's a lot easier for a hacker as well. And that's the intention behind these frameworks: is how do we put these operational steps, these governance, so that you as an organization are constantly aware of the threats, because you're never going to be 100% secure, and you can constantly evolve into the cycle in this framework. That's what it is, a cycle of constantly improving. So say in this case you get rid of unique passwords, I mean not unique passwords, it's shared and common passwords. You implement unique passwords, and the next layer of improvement would be MFA. But just a small takeaway there is just make sure you don't have accounts being shared across your organization. Everyone should have a unique username and password.
So along with the flat networks, in terms of getting into the next NIST framework, which is Protect, is implementing a perimeter firewall. Basically, that goes hand in hand with the segmentation that you're kind of talking about. And it gives you basically visibility on those VLANs and segmenting infrastructure, access control, also phishing awareness, implementing phishing awareness. Anything that's going to create layers or add layers to improve the cyber hygiene and protect the infrastructure in the organization, right?
Definitely.
I think another part of the control of this is detect, right? So how are you detecting these threats? Are you logging? do you have any form of knowing when they log in, if they're implementing or deploying a script, um, and basically having a SOC is a good idea in that sense. Are you monitoring your emails? Countless times we're constantly seeing the amount of threats that are coming from, China, Russia, and other countries that are basically trying to brute force email, the owners' email or even accounting emails. And we all know what they can basically do with that. Redirect funds, etc., and just kind of siphon, as much as they want and need. Do you have anything to add to
Yeah,
that, Lewis?
yeah. Just this week, actually, I was helping out another company. Basically, they're not a customer of ours, more of like a contractor we've done business with, and they got breached. They called me late in the day, and told me that they basically had someone log into their mailbox without their knowledge and intercept banking details for their customer. So essentially, they got lucky enough where their customer found that suspicious and they were made aware of it. But this threat actor was deleting this sent email history and playing man in the middle. So they were just telling that customer, "Hey, these are my new banking details. Please make sure to make payment here," even though that's not true. And they got in with basically the things that you shouldn't be doing. They didn't have multi-factor authentication. So all it took was the hacker getting the right password, and that password was also reused. So, just to kind of pull this all together, it was just a matter of time. It was a ticking time bomb. It's like leaving your door open in your neighborhood. When's the bad actor going to come by? When you leave the door open.
When you're saying reuse, are you referring to some type of information in the dark web that's some type of vendor such as Dropbox or any vendor that you use, that password was on the dark web, and threat actors kind of just probably even guessed which vendor to use or try that password, and they were successful in authenticating with his email. And that's how easy it was. They didn't even have to do much, really, right? They just kind of, hey, let me check if it works with the email. Successful, and that's it. Basically, gates open.
Or it could have been an insider, who knows, right? Like an ex-employee, could have been a current employee. The point is, like, they didn't have the defense mechanism of multi-factor, an extra layer to detect, hey, someone's trying to log in, and they didn't have the back end part of that, which, hey, someone's been logging into my account from Texas, and I'm, based in Florida, and it's happening, all over the weekend. It's happening from proxy servers too. Uh, you know,
Absolutely.
there's multiple, like, cybersecurity. I mean, we keep saying it because it's so critical. It's all about the layering. So if you don't have multi-factor, uh, and that's gonna be basically zero layers after the password. But if you have multi-factor and they still get in, what's the detection system? Hey, this is coming from UK, which also in this case they were logged in from the United Kingdom, and they also logged in from Texas. So it was very geographically different log on attempts, which for a SOC team and the right monitoring system, that comes out as a red flag. You alert the network team or the user themselves and say, "Hey, were you logging in from the UK, and were you just logging in from Texas? Oh, you weren't. Okay, you might have been compromised. As that's an indicator of compromise."
And most of the time, the passwords at any given moment that are utilized by most people are very short and probably not as sophisticated as using alphanumeric, you know, characters in their passwords. So if you don't have MFA, that's how much easier it is for a threat actor to guess your password. And most of the time, they crack it probably within 2 minutes. And so that's how easy it is for them to actually gain access to infrastructures. So that takes us to the next out of the five of NIST framework is response. So if that in the event a threat actor does take over or compromises your infrastructure or your email, how are you responding to this? Proper planning, communications is key, and analyzing after the fact. So who do you notify? What are your next steps? How to recover, how to mitigate, remediate. Do you have to notify insurance? Do you have to notify FBI? So all these steps are important to basically be in line and ready for when something happens, that you're basically ready to recover your data, basically. And then the next one obviously is recover. Proper recovery planning and resiliency is key. What's your plan of action to restore? Do you have your recovery time objective? So if mostly for bigger organizations, you want to know how quick you can be up after a threat. So do you have copies of your servers in another cold cloud where you can just turn on and just continue operating? Are you just going to download the data from the cloud? Now, how long does that take? A day, 2 days, a week? It's good to understand what your recovery time objective is, because if you're just doing file level backups, then you just got to download the data, then reinstall everything and redeploy and reconfigure. And doing everything from scratch may not be so beneficial for the organization.
Especially if you have very proprietary software, the vendor doesn't exist
Great
anymore.
point.
We've had situations where uh, that vendors go out of business. They don't no longer support the infrastructure, and without having that recovery plan in place, they're basically having to start from scratch, redoing their whole business processes. Obviously, the organization that I'm kind of referencing in my mind is also pushing to adopt newer supported vendors and software, but you know that's the risk that you have to also think about when you're planning your recovery is do I have a way to recover even though there's no vendor in mind? If I don't have a vendor in mind and I don't have a recovery plan, chances are this recovery is going to go the wrong way.
Yeah, those line of business applications are very critical to an organization, and we experienced this firsthand where there is a Windows 7 machine, obviously that's not maintained, has end of life with Microsoft. So a lot of times these newer software, whether it's for backups or whatever it is to try to protect your infrastructure, is not compatible with Windows 7 machines. So now you're kind of fighting against the grain. And like Louis said, it's just a lot of vendors that go out of business, etc. So this is the importance of following a framework to properly, proactively protect environments. That's the power of assessments, right? So you don't know what you don't know. So it's great to perform assessments, routine assessments, even, and just kind of have an idea, engage where your technology stack sits and stacks against, this NIST framework as a guide. So that, with that being said, we've reached the end of our journey through the maze of cybersecurity with the NIST framework as our trusty guide. Remember, being cyber safe isn't just one-time checklist. It's a continuous journey towards securing our digital footsteps. I'm your host, Felipe. Thank you for joining. Thank you, join for us, Cyber Safe, Easy Steps with the NIST framework. Today, we untangle the complexities of cybersecurity, turning them into actionable steps you can start by applying right now. No matter your tech savviness level, don't let the digital world intimidate you. Armed with knowledge and the right tools, you're more than capable of protecting yourself and your organization against cyber threats. today's chat sparked a light bulb moment for you, share this episode far and wide. Let's make the digital space a safer place for everyone. Until next time, stay informed, stay secure, and keep taking those easy steps to cyber safety. Goodbye and take care. Also, one last note just for our listeners, if you join the waitlist and submit your email, you have a chance to receive a complimentary assessment. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys.